What makes organic matter, well, organic? The presence of carbon and hydrogen. What is methylation? It's a process where a molecule made out of carbon and hydrogen is added to something, making stuff more organic, if you will. Almost like converting Dollar General into Whole Foods. And that's, for example, how DNA in your body gets activated with carbon and hydrogen. To quote this PubMed article, methylation is the first line essential biochemical process in the transmission of life. But also, that's how energy is produced, emotions are controlled, food is digested, muscles are built, and toxins are removed. So, pretty much everything. Your body has this raw potential and recipes to make all this happen, but it needs the flame of methylation to finish cooking this potential to perfection. So if you get anything from this video, get this. If you want a long, healthy and happy life, emotions controlled, right? You have to master your methylation. Watch this video, watch a few more, but get this. The methylation circle is the circle of life. But here's the problem. When I ask my health-savvy friends what they know about it, the most healthy people in this room, do you know what methylation is? Methylation cycle. Raise your hand if you know your homocysteine levels. What? But do you know your homocysteine? Do you know what methylation is? Only Michael here was really ahead of me.
Let me interview you. I'm gonna ask you a question. What is your homocysteine?
It's about 7.5, but he's a medical director in the field of integrative medicine, so no surprises. If your homocysteine is higher than 8 or 9, your chances of dementia are 20% higher.
That's exactly right. The normal lab is going to say 15 to 20.
Oh, 15. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, or like 14 to 20. Screw that. It's exactly right. That's like, okay, I'm not looking for disease state here. I know that homocysteine over 10 is a problem, but most doctors have no idea about that. And the good news is the treatment for this is very easy.
Very simple, yeah. But none of my regular PCP doctors ever asked this question. Is your experience any different? Do you know what homocysteine is? Please let me know down below. And if not, we're going to fix it right now. But how come such a life-defining process flies under the radar? The first reason is the methylation cycle is complicated. There are multiple entry points, levers, feedback loops, and genetic variations. So it takes time and a lot of effort to personalize all of them to your own unique situation. And the second reason, healthcare as a business model, frankly, doesn't care all that much about optimizing your life. But if you are like me and want to live long and happy life, you have to make friends with this circle. And because I had my own issues, I've spent almost 2 years reading all I can about methylation, speaking with doctors, experimenting and internalizing so I can explain it in a simple yet nuanced way which is enough to understand, and what's more important, start applying the knowledge from this day forward. And so now I'm ready to introduce you to each other in a friendly, easy way, and if you're here, it means that you are ready too. You are ready to make your life better. Alright, let's get running, or in this particular case, spinning. Let's look at these 4 characters. John. He's always tired, has some indigestion, and life is just not as it used to be. Grace. She's moody, ruminating, and has PMS the size of a black hole. Julie. Always overhyped and having trouble concentrating on things for longer than 15 seconds. And Alex, that would be me, has seasonal allergies and the immune system is acting like an overzealous security guard, and blood markers show elevated homocysteine and inflammation. We probably all know or have been one of these characters at one point or another. And while methylation doesn't always cause the symptoms, it can play a huge part. So let's review the ins and outs of the circle and apply our knowledge to help and fix their lives. The goal of methylation cycle is to produce the just right amount of methyl groups. If we continue with the fire and cooking analogy, you don't want your meal barely warm, that's our sluggish John, or overheated, that's our hyperactive Julie. The cooking chef in the circle is this guy named Sammy. And everyone is bustling and hustling around to bring him the fire to cook with. Carbon fuel, the same carbon I've mentioned before. In the order of importance, that's what on the methylation menu. First course is phospholipid methylation, 5 to 10% of methyl groups, and DNA methylation, 20 to 25. These two are the most important, regulating DNAs and building cells. Then we have neurotransmitter synthesis, 10 to 15%, and protein methylation, about the same. And for the dessert, the rest goes into creatine synthesis, about 40%, which works as an important buffer, which we will get back to by the end of the story. So again, here's our simplified picture. Let's say DNA needs cooking. For that we need fuel, carbon and hydrogen, and all this methylation and folate circles are about bringing the torch, the flaming torch, from hands to hands to hands to hands to hands, all the way to the kitchen. And because your body is very frugal, it becomes a circle. The handle goes down to get recoated and relighted and back to the kitchen. Or the torch handles can go down and either to the left to be burned for power and energy in the mitochondria, or handles can go down and to the right and be used to beat out all the bad toxins and the oxidants. That's your natural detox and antioxidant production. Okay, hopefully you get the general idea of this relay race and how extremely important it is for just living. Now we're going to take a look at the specific players in this game, and that's where common mutations and deficiencies are going to play their different roles, and that's why John has different symptoms from Julie, or from Alex, or from you. The main and direct input into the circle is amino acid called methionine. That's what you get from proteins you eat. And methionine brings the torch right to the kitchen to Sam, and he's ready to cook. But that's where we run into the first common set of mutations. The RS4680 gene, known as slow COMT for AA variation, or fast COMT when you get GG, also known as Worrier gene. But it's not all doom and gloom. These two variations can have their benefits as well. For example, let's say Harry Potter, a hero who acts well under stress. He's your classic warrior. On the other hand, Hermione, the anxious learner, she's a warrior, but she can really study and spend hours and hours doing meticulous research. But of course, these benefits comes with a price, something they don't show in this kind of movies. So, what is the price? What is happening and what the dark implications are? In the case of COMT, we are dealing with dopamine, adrenaline, and estrogen. And COMT, catechol-omesyl transferase, is responsible for plumbing, the drainage. For example, when you have fast COMT, the dopamine is drained faster. Slow COMT, it is drained slower. And you might think, great, more dopamine is better, but not quite. Because real estate is limited. In your head, you have a basic and stable level of dopamine, like water in the pool or in the ocean. And this high level is good for memory and focus, but good luck with adaptability, ruminations, or just falling asleep. Because actions and flexibility are driven by the waves of dopamine. That's what's called phasic dopamine. And when the initial level is too high, the waves just have no room. They become compressed and squished, almost like modern music. With fast COMT, the stable level is low and the waves are sharp and tall. That's why you can easily switch between multiple problems under stress. But this lower level and fast falls, they're making it hard to get any satisfaction out of life. So there are pluses and there are minuses. But when you understand them, you can play to your strengths and mitigate, to some extent, the minuses with a good consistent sleep routine, for example, or gratitude practice. And similar story with adrenaline. Fast COMT and adrenaline drains faster, so you are less stressed. But physical performance can suffer, or general alertness when it's needed. So you're gonna watch your blood sugar, support dopamine, and probably don't volunteer for the guard duty. Slow COMT, more adrenaline. Endurance and performance under stress are up, but the risk of hypertension is also up. So you gotta practice relaxation, breath control. Estrogen, that's a whole world of its own. But enough to say you definitely don't want to be on the bad side of Hermione near that time of months. So remember our Grace character, PMS, mood swings, slow COMT. How can we help her? First, reduce estrogen naturally, which means less of aged cheese and smoked meat, but more broccoli and cauliflower, and possibly supplement with DIM. Journaling, or at least micro-journaling, and mundane meditation would be both great additions as well. And of course, running the methylation cycle becomes doubly important, and getting enough magnesium. What about Julie? ADHD, inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. If she has fast COMT, eating more protein and supplementing with L-tyrosine, which is a precursor to dopamine, is a way to get it more stable. Also, omega-3 becomes very important. And as I already said, some gratitude practice and connecting with inner self to stabilize the impulses. And again, methylation cycle, which is required to produce enough dopamine in the first place. As you see, whatever we do, methylation plays a role. So let's continue with it. After methyl groups are used up for cooking, what we have left is our old friend homocysteine, which can be recycled in many different ways, and it's really good. Because we only run into the real problems when it's left unused, like empty plastic bottles on a beach. And it's a simple blood test, homocysteine, which you can do in the lab or even at home. So, before we get to folate and save John and Alex, let's look down at the energy and detox. It's one way for homocysteine, but to go there it needs serine, another amino acid you can get from food, or it can be produced internally from glycine. Put a mental mark on it. We also need vitamin B6, which is an easy one, and iron. And that's something you have to watch for. Iron deficiency is quite common. For example, in our family of 4, 2 people are constantly low for one reason or another and have to supplement. Anyway, after that, with a little help of cysteine and our friend glycine again, we produce glutathione, the main antioxidant regulator in your body, the master of cleanup and detox. Lately, Bottleneck supplement made a splash in the longevity community. The data is limited, but cautiously optimistic, especially for people after 40, when glutathione starts to go down. And Bottleneck is just a combination of cysteine and glycine, basically glutathione precursors. But if your body has enough of it, of glutathione, we take a turn left and either create taurine, which helps with heart health, or just burn it all for energy, so nothing is wasted as long as we deal with the bottlenecks. Okay, what else can be done with homocysteine? The real task here in the circle is to convert it back to methionine and bring carbon to SAM. Methylation cannot stop. Spice has to flow. DNA has to be expressed and regulated. Dopamine produced, and the whole list, everything we saw on that menu. So that's why we have the main pathway and the backdoor, just in case. The main pathway is the path of folate. That's where your daily salads pay off. If you ever heard about birth defects due to folate deficiency, that's right here as well. But that's also the place where the most common mutation called MTHFR happens. Methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase, an enzyme which converts folate into methylfolate, the folate on fire. And the prevalence of this mutation is huge, about 60%, maybe a bit less, maybe a bit more, depending on who's counting, but either way it's big, and you can have issues here without any mutations whatsoever. For example, if you are low on vitamin B12, which is common independently from mutations, the whole process is going to slow down. Remember our concept of the relay race? Folate using vitamin B2 lights the fire, which has to be passed to B12, which passes it to homocysteine. So no B12, and the race is not racing. And no amount of folate is going to help because we have B12 bottleneck. So the first step in fixing methylation with or without MTHFR is to check and address B12 deficiency. Second step, if your folate levels are low, eat more with leafy greens, asparagus, broccoli, lentils, avocados, grapefruits. If you have MTHFR 67TT, that's where a bit of B2 riboflavin is all you need to convert it to methylfolate. Optimum riboflavin status appeared to obliterate the effect of the variant MTHFR 67T allele on homocysteine. With heterozygous CT genotypes, this study hasn't reached statistical significance, but obviously it's not as drastic as TT to begin with, and probably more people are needed, and you, regardless, have to experiment. Of course, you can also circumvent the process with the direct methylfolate or methylated B12 supplements. But that's when you run the risk of over-methylation, so if you're gonna do it, it's better to approach the supplementation in baby steps. And you still need folate for other reasons as well, so my take, supporting the process is much better than shortcutting it, especially when your body has its own shortcut already built in. Meet betaine, carbon-rich source, ready to share with homocysteine and converted back directly into methionine. As the name suggests, you can get betaine from beets, or from TMG supplement, or convert from choline. That's your eggs, liver, shiitake mushrooms, soybeans, and a few more foods. And choline, though it's not a vitamin or mineral, is an essential nutrient, especially for the proper brain and nerve function. So the typical situation, if the folate doesn't crank properly, choline is diverted from its main function to help with methylation. But as a result, not enough acetylcholine is produced, and that's mental fog, bad memory, muscle weakness, depression, and indigestion in one box. Now add to that somewhat compromised methylation, which is responsible for bile production and the regulation of serotonin and immune system in the gut, and we get the whole stomach traffic jam. But now we know what can help Alex and John. Step 1. Fix B12 deficiency. Step 2. Check and fix folate. If MTHFR mutation is present, add a little bit of riboflavin. Then add extra choline in the form of eggs or liver, especially if low choline symptoms are present, like in the case of John. If you can't eat that many eggs, supplement with some TMG. And watch iron and zinc levels so everything is cranking properly. Also, replacing alcohol with alternatives is a great idea I can personally vouch for. Of course, keep in mind that these characters are mostly hypothetical. On a case-to-case personal basis, you have to work with your doctor who can look at the big picture, not just methylation, do all the tests and adjust things slowly, especially when you have MTHFR and COMT mutations, because there is a lot of intricate interplay. And two more important additions. Remember the dessert? Creatine? There is a huge requirement for methyl groups for production of creatine. It has the lowest priority, but nevertheless, if you can supplement 5 grams of creatine daily, it's going to offload some of the work from the circle, especially if you do regular resistance training, which you should. And that extra creatine will benefit your muscles and your brain and everything else at the same time. As you know, my supplement list is very short, but creatine is one of the things which almost everyone is going to benefit from. And second, if we carefully look at the circle again, one name pops out in every corner, and we even had a special mental mark on it. That's our friend Glycine. Without it, the story wouldn't be fully told, and Glycine is a big enough star, which I also use daily, to have a special video dedicated to it, which I highly recommend you watch right now. Living is smart, aging is bad, and I'll see you right there.